Yeah. Yeah. Let me take you on the.
Hi guys, what's up? Welcome to Talkin Sporty. I'm Brittany Bets.
And I'm your girl P.
What is up? Week 9 NFL, Week 2 NBA.
Week 2 NBA.
Let's talk about it. Talk Sporty. What's up? How have you been, first and foremost?
Well, just here and there and everywhere, trying to forget about whatever it is that happened last week in the NFL. I don't think we're going to get too much into detail about that, but we got some good stuff going on in fantasy. We'll talk about it. There's some bright spots there, but aside from that, yes, the NBA just started, like you said. Obviously, you guys know Brittany and I are both Laker fans, so we can dive in. We can talk about the Lakers.
Let's buckle up. Right. I'm ready to buckle up.
Yeah, let's buckle up. There's some good stuff going on with the Lakers, some moves that were made in the offseason, right? We have a deeper team now. We got some length now.
A young team, but
but there's some depth there. We got some length as well. We got Christian Wood from the Dallas Mavericks, picked up Jackson Hayes, of course. So the Lakers right now are at 500, right? So they're 2-2.
2-2. Yep. We're playing the Clippers right now as we're recording.
Yeah, as we're recording this.
We came back, so there's a bright spot that we're competing, because we were down like almost 20 points, I think, at one point in this game. But we're at 500. Before the season started, I constantly heard talks like this is the championship Lakers team. Here's the thing, like, this is way too early for me to even dabble into any type of conversation. Like, I'm gonna be casually watching until football. So football dies down.
Yeah.
But what do you think about this Laker team? Like, with all those new guys that you've named, adding depth.
Yeah. Well, look, listen. We got to the Western Conference Finals as a 7th seed last season, right? So, I don't see us achieving any less than that this season. And I will say though, like, I would pump the brakes on the championship talk, but but at worst, I don't like, that's my like standard, I guess. At worst, like, I don't see us missing the playoffs.
Okay.
I hope this doesn't come back to bite us, but
right. Well, I think that the West is competitive,
Right.
So there's that. So we can't be too sure.
Yeah.
Like tonight we have guys that are out, and I think that that's kind of like been a newer sentiment, where there's like more rest days and there's more like load management days and more guys that you see just not playing. You know what I mean? Like, there was something that I saw where, I think it was yesterday, where Embiid was not expected to play for rest, and he had just like rested. And it was just, it sounds outlandish, and obviously he played, but you're seeing a lot more of that. So I hope that doesn't bite the Lakers in the butt with us having to rest up Bron or AD, and just
So I do remember, and we can like look up the specifics, and obviously we don't want to say anything wrong, but I do remember there is a new initiative in the NBA now against like too much, I wouldn't say too much load management, but you know what I'm saying, like
get to work.
Yeah, right. Yeah. In short, get to work. Nonetheless, the NBA is back. Brittany and I, we chatted about this. I'm going to be super honest. She's going to be super honest. There's 82 games in that season. Okay.
Yeah. Catch me at like 40
right. Like maybe post All-Star break, right? When like we're in February, Super Bowl's around the corner, and But nonetheless, we're still Laker fans. But now that we're on the topic of the NBA, Brittany, so Friday, November 3rd, is the beginning of the first ever in-season NBA tournament.
Interesting.
Okay.
Tell me more.
And so I also questioned, what is the point of this, right? So apparently, because like we just said, it's an 82 game season. It's a way for the NBA to keep things interesting in short.
Okay.
So the winner of that gets, of course, a trophy, but they also get they get money at the end of the tournament. It's all 30 teams.
Okay.
And there's a prize, obviously. It's the NBA's way of, somebody compared it to, because I was having this discussion on Twitter the other day, like, what is the point of this? There's no playoff implications. Okay, by the way, no playoff implications. What is the point? And they're just like, oh, they do this, in Premier Leagues, soccer leagues across the way. So like,
P's
it's just,
into the Laker game right now, guys, and she's gonna give us an update. Did we come back? Like,
yeah, we're actually up 3. Yeah, we're up 3.
okay.
It's about to
Okay.
be in the fourth quarter. So, my only concern with this tournament that has no playoff implications whatsoever is like, it's all 30 teams playing.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid a star player gets hurt. What do we
Okay.
do?
There's that, right?
So,
That's big. I know. So it's just like, how much do you really want to put into that?
right.
How much there's that. I think that when you look at the teams that kind of know that they're not going to be doing much, well, it's this weekend, right?
Yeah, starts this Friday.
So this is kind of early to say, who knows that they're not going to be doing much. But I would think that if it was later on, like, it's a way to kind of incentivize playing better and to get like,
Yeah,
work bonuses or
right.
work bonus type situation. But
Or maybe if it was like a midway point, right? Like a midway point,
yeah.
but it's like, we're barely week 2, week 3 of the NBA, like full
Yeah. Like, has it been a full 7 days?
of the NBA. Actually,
Yesterday, right?
yesterday. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's one thing that I'm just kind of like, I'll tune in, but I don't really get it. I don't understand. But it'll be interesting. I mean, it takes place in Vegas. I don't know if you saw, but like, each team gets their own like home court design. It was pretty interesting. I mean,
They're
we'll see,
putting
right?
a lot of time into this.
Yeah. Trial and error with the NBA, of course. They're trying some stuff around, like for example, the All-Star game is going to be back to East versus West now.
Right. When I heard that, I was like, thank gosh. Like, I
Yeah.
was so over the other format captains and just
Right.
all the BS. Like, stop playing with us.
If
Just
it
go
ain't
back to.
broken, don't fix it.
Thank
Like,
you.
but so it's back to East versus West. So we'll see.
Perfect.
So that's
Well, keep
that.
keep us posted on the in season play-in.
Yeah.
He'll give us updates.
Yeah. We'll talk about it throughout. So we're on the topic of the NBA. As of 2 days ago, James Harden is now a Clipper.
Yep.
James Harden is now on his 3rd NBA team in 2.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a journey. What can we say? I mean, he's back home, right? He's back with Russ. So they've accomplished things in terms of like scoring duos. This is the thing. I'm not a fan of the Clippers. I've never been a fan of the Clippers. I feel like, like the Chargers, they're that team that is just, they always clipper. You know what I mean? Like, there's always just something like themselves usually that stand in the way. And like, I really just hating on them, but it's kind of like they do it to themselves.
Yeah.
So I say that to say that even with Paul George, even with Kawhi, who was playing really, really well tonight, like he had 18 points in the first quarter against the Lakers, but I don't even think that that's going to be enough because there's a lot of egos there. Like every dude, every person that I just named is from LA. And like I know Kawhi is more mellow, like he's like an IE type guy, but like those are some LA dudes. And I don't think that there's going to be a lot of like let's just say there's going to be a lot of egos in that locker room in my opinion. And I think that sometimes can get in your way. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's just my opinion. What do
Yeah.
you think? What did you think when you heard the news?
Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm not a fan of James Harden. I'm not a fan of his play. I'm not a fan of his style. I liked him when he was in Oklahoma, but he was the sixth man, so that was a long time ago. Now, I'm just not a fan of the saga. None of that. To reiterate what you said, I do like. We're both obviously SoCal natives. I do like and respect that all four of these guys, right? We got to include Russell. They're
Right.
all Southern California natives. I think that's super awesome.
I
It's
love
nothing like
it.
a homegrown team. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, but having them not homegrown, hometown, I should say, because they're not homegrown. Um, but other than that, the Clippers are going to Clipper. Like, I don't know what the science is behind it.
Not the science.
There's
Oh
gonna be
my
a science
god.
between the Chargers and the Clippers doing what they do. Because at this point, I don't even know.
Call
I
Bill
don't
Nye.
even know at this point. You
You
know,
are
I was
crazy.
and I want to know your thoughts on this, and then we can move on.
Okay.
Um, my brother and I were having an interesting conversation. He said that his friend was thinking they were talking about how the pressure of playing in LA actually affects the way these folks play,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
he has a theory as to that's why the Dodgers won in 2020 when there was no fans, and why the Lakers won in 2020 when there was no fans. Not to take away from the championship, but more so to just show folks how hard it is to just play in LA and meet those standards. What do you think?
I mean, I agree. I think that it is a tough place to live. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, I don't think that people understand how big of a city LA is.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes down to it, most of these athletes don't live like in LA, like in downtown Los Angeles,
Right.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like they live more than likely like out in the burbs, somewhere out a ways. And then if they have to get to like a practice facility or if they have to go to training camp, like it's not close, right? Like
Right.
this is all like the leading up to it psychological factors that I'm thinking of. But like
Mm-hmm.
the traffic alone is absolutely insane here. Like I cannot stand it. So whether you're driving yourself or whether you're getting a driver, like you're sitting in it for hours on end.
Mm-hmm.
So you're messed up in the head from that. And then you have just like all of just the LA ness that's going on, people constantly going out, people constantly partying. Like it's not like a city like New York where everything stays open, but there's always something to do. You know what I mean? Like people know, like everybody is here. So I get that. And then from a fan standpoint, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, we are some of the most brutal fans. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
when it comes to expectations, when it comes to speaking our mind, when it comes to not necessarily heckling, they're way worse than us. But yeah, we can be some of the worst. Like,
Yeah.
so I get it. And I think
Right.
that is a true, you know, that does play a part. You know what I
Right. It's
mean?
like a true factor, right? I mean,
Like,
the Rams were able to do it when on the biggest stage at home with those fans. Of course, we already have endless discussions about how football's split here, but it also took like a crazy fourth quarter performance and all that other stuff to just say, like you're saying, there's a lot of factors that play into this, like right logistics, all that stuff that make LA like obviously like what top five hardest cities to play in, I would say. I
yeah,
mean, yeah. So I thought that was an interesting point of discussion, and I was like, you know what? That's actually a fair point.
yeah.
Um, so that is the NBA. We obviously Brittany and I will be tuning in, chatting. We'll talk about that tournament and we do you bet on the NBA, or do you like try not to? How
I
do
think I'll dabble.
you okay?
We can do underdog with NBA, so use our code on underdog fantasy code sporty. But no, you can. I look. There's props on there, so
Yeah,
I'll dabble. You know,
yeah, yeah.
I'm Brittany Bets.
Right.
So you went to the Colorado game, Colorado UCLA. UCLA won.
Yeah, I
Go
went to
Bruins,
the
right?
yes. We UCLA was at home, so um, I enjoyed quite. It was quite the game. Um, last time, last Rose Bowl game I was at, it was when we played SC. It was just as full. It was very, very full,
Mm,
very
okay.
packed.
It was packed. It was a packed game. Yeah. What were the vibes like? Tell us what the prime effect is like.
Girl, it is alive and it is real. I'll say this.
Okay.
He has like some like shirts. So I did see a lot of that. So I saw a lot more Deion Sanders fans than I did see Colorado fans, which I
Okay.
don't blame him. He's changed the culture there, right? I don't blame him at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very easy, not only literally to see them, but it was very easy to like differentiate, like they had the prime shirt on. Some of them, I seen it was really cool. I seen a few hats, cowboy hats with glasses type. But overall, it was a really good vibe. It was a great day for some college football. Obviously, the Bruins won, played some insane defense.
Oh yeah, that's like the star of the team right now because the offense and just kind of switching back and forth with the quarterbacks and the offensive line. Like I know Chip is like banging his head in a wall,
Yeah,
but I mean obviously he had to pull Dante at one point and go back to Ethan. But yeah, the defense is definitely the star of that team.
yeah,
Like they're holding teams to less than like 25 points a game. Like
yeah.
I think it may be way less than that too.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, yes.
that front four is nice.
Girl, those Murphy twins and
I'm not saying it like that.
Latu, those three first. When they rush one of those, both of them, whatever, all three of them, whatever it is, it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's suffocating. It doesn't help that Colorado's O line is abysmal, non-existent.
Ooh wee.
But
That
even against some solid opponents like Utah, the only reason why we lost that game, like you said, is because Dante was playing like a doofus. But that
was a really
defense,
low scoring game too.
yeah,
So
really low scoring. So that defense is not a joke. They are actually some of the highest rating per Pro Football Focus. They are some of the highest rated in the country. So that's great. I think that's why we won that game ultimately, of course, because our offense is a joke. It's not that it's a joke. It's not that it's a joke. I should retract.
you're
It's just
it's it's going through something like it's figuring itself out because the running back still he is running. He is using his wheels. Aside from on the football field, did you see the person who stole Colorado's jewelry?
no.
Go in the locker room.
Did they find him?
No, you were there, so I was seeing. Like, did you see?
Girl, I
Did
said,
you
who
catch
was
him?
it? Yeah, no, I did not see that. That's actually interesting, right? Because it happened mid-game, right? So we don't know, how venue security is it. They're saying that it's a third party company, whatever
This
the
is
case
LA.
is. So
This is LA. Like, I'm not surprised. Like, you have Rams players that are getting robbed, for whatever he got robbed for. But this is LA, and it's really grimy in these streets right now. Um, I would think that it's like maybe an inside job, like somebody from the security or somebody at the Rose Bowl, like, you want to come hit this lick? Like, this stuff is here. Like, they're on the field.
one thing I will say is that apparently this happened to Dion at Jackson State too.
They say that it happens at HBCUs all the time, which that's so unfortunate.
That
Like,
sucks, right? Like obviously this is their belongings. It doesn't justify it. So it does suck because it's like at the end of the day, these kids are at this point now, it's like they're kind of working for what they get, you know? So I know that they are opening an investigation. I have heard people say like maybe it was an inside job because mid game, like the UCLA folks can do it because they're on the field. So it's like, who was it? But that's kind of that was kind of like a top of the news story this week. The Pasadena police is looking into it. It yeah.
To be continued.
To be continued, I guess.
We'll follow up on the case number. With
Yeah.
the case number in the file.
Yeah. So, and then since we're talking about college football really quickly, the college football playoffs, the rankings released today. They got the first, obviously, you know, I believe the 4 that they have is Florida State, Georgia, Ohio State, and I think Michigan. I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, I guess they have it right. Like, I'm really high on Florida State right now. I think that they're playing football really well, both sides of the ball. They play some competitive teams. Like, I don't think that they get the respect that they should be getting with them being in the ACC. But they're the Noles. Like, they've done things before. They've made no noise before. But I think that right now, because Georgia has been so consistently dominant and winning consecutive years in a row, you know, people just won't take their eyes off of Georgia. And then you have Michigan, and then you have the whole sign stealing saga. Like, that is mind boggling. Did you see the picture of the guy on the sideline with the other school's gear on? Like, oh, we know that's you.
Yeah, I was watching Pat McAfee.
What are you doing?
I was watching the Pat McAfee show this morning, and there's this part where, like, I think he was with Central Michigan's sideline, and the camera pans to him on the sideline because there's a player who runs out of bounds, and like he runs on top of this guy. He got his hat. He goes like this.
Oh yeah, trying to be incognito. You're caught, busted,
dude.
Like, you could totally tell he had the fact that he went, like, he had the gear. You have on the sunglasses on the sideline as an assistant when there's no sun. Come on, bro.
And per the McAfee show, these sunglasses have some sort of recording device on it.
Oh my goodness. Even worse, like straight out of the Belichick book.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah. So that's that. Obviously, Georgia's playing without Brock Bowers, their star tight end. That's something impressive.
He didn't say anything. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to cut you off. Go ahead. You said they're playing with No, tell me. Go ahead.
No, I was just talking about you're talking about Michigan. We're talking about the playoff teams. There's the top 4 playoff teams that are in right now. So I think that there's talks that Georgia may repeat. People are talking about how Georgia doesn't really play anybody. There could be excuses for every team, right? Like they've said that about Florida State, that they haven't played anybody. Michigan's there sign stealing. So it's like, so who do we got that's like legit, you know?
Yeah.
But
what I was going to say is that I didn't say anything about Ohio State, and that's not to discredit them, and that's not to not give them their respect, because I think that they're playing really, really well. I think that for them not to be like that normal Ohio State team with the quarterback that just slings the ball that we know is going to go, you know, right away to the draft, and like they have a weapon, like they have Maserati Marv.
Gus Johnson wants to make that a thing. Oh my god,
that was like, if we took a shot for every time he said that, lit we'd be, okay? But no, I was just gonna say, like, the point that I just wanted to make was that Ohio State is playing really good football, like especially with that win over Penn State. I think that they're proving themselves, you know, to be quite the force. If I had to choose right now, I would put them over Georgia. I'd put FSU and Ohio State. What are the numbers? I'm just making this. I haven't even looked. You said that they're those are the top 4. What are the actual numbers? Who's number 1? Is Georgia still number 1? Georgia. Okay.
I think it's Ohio State 2 or Michigan 2. Ooh,
Michigan still 2.
I'm confusing Ohio State and Michigan. They're not gonna like that.
Well, if Michigan is 2 and Georgia's 1, go ahead and swap that. Go ahead and swap the 1 and the 2 with the 3 and the 4. In my opinion,
I know for a fact that Florida State is 4 though. I know that almost.
Okay, they kept them there.
Yeah, and then I believe they got Oregon at 5 and Washington at 6. So
even though Washington beat Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would be, obviously we would be remiss if we don't talk about our little Pac-12. So we had to bring those up, even though they're essentially the first 2 out. But this should be interesting. UCLA plays Arizona this weekend. Wildcats.
Man, I love Arizona this season. And that's not because Deontay's cousin is the DJ coach, but they have been playing some really, really scrappy football. Just
I heard
backup quarterback, taking SC to triple overtime in the Coliseum on a night game. And then the week before that, they had went into Washington and they went to overtime with Washington and only lost by a score. And then after the USD game, they went to Pullum and then they beat Wazoo. So that's 3 ranked schools that they stayed, competitive with.
Yeah.
And they're playing why not? They've already counted us out. Why not? So I don't know, Bruins. I don't know. I like Arizona. I just love the way that they've been playing. They've been covering spreads. They just upset Oregon State too. They're on this.
Yes.
We are knocking out the Pac-12. We're the Pac-12 slayers. That's Arizona right now, and I like it a lot. So I don't know, Bruins. You might have your hands full with
that's
this one.
the matchup. Another one that's going to be probably a little bit more fun than the UCLA Arizona one is the Huskies do play the Trojans this weekend. That's going to be interesting. USC
I don't know. I don't think it'll be too interesting.
Well, I'll say this. We all know how bad USC's defense or lack thereof is. Washington is not that bad, but their defense is pretty a little questionable, right? So I think it's going to be maybe a shootout. Yeah, I think it's just going to be a shootout. We'll see how it goes.
I hear you. No, I hear you. I think it'll be interesting from an entertaining perspective.
Yeah.
From a Heisman candidate perspective, because, you still, do I think that Caleb's hopes have dwindled? Absolutely. I think that they're pretty much saying that it's Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix, right? But I think that Caleb is still trying to prove something. So he's not going to let Mike outplay him, right? So I think that just that mindset, there's going to be some sort of quarterback duel.
Yeah, at least I think at this point, SC's just playing. They're ranked 20. They're just playing for a sense of pride at this point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I mean, that your defense can't hold.
Girl, they let Cal score 49 points on them.
49, a game that they truly should have lost, SC, but I mean, if they don't want to let go of their defensive coordinator and nip that in the butt, then they don't want to win like that. They don't seem serious. You know what I mean? You have a unit on offense with Caleb Williams, and then it kind of makes you question, well, is that the case when he can only play like that against subpar teams? Raises some questions, but in terms of it being, I don't think that the game's going to be close. I think that Washington's going to.
Oh, you don't think that it's going to be close?
No, I don't. I think that it's going to be a shootout at one point, perhaps, but then, I think Washington is just going to run away with it. I think, like I said, it's going to be some quarterback dueling. Do I think that there's going to be a lot of shots taken? Lincoln's going to try to show off the offense, but SC has problems that they need to focus on next year, whatever you guys are going to do, because this isn't the season yet again.
Yeah. So do you think It's a little too early to tell. We're just going to play devil's advocate. Then we're going to move on to the NFL. I think this is a perfect segment. Do you think that he declares?
I don't know. I would think that now that his draft stock has dwindled, in a sense, like you still have the combine, you still have off season, you still have other things that you can show and showcase, trying to get that top spot back. But even before this, people were saying that he wasn't going to be the top guy. Like they're talking about Drake May, they're talking about, um, other people. But
Mm.
I think that Caleb has an ego. He's very much so a young man who is sure of himself, and he has a Heisman to back that up. But I think that he still has a little bit to prove at the college level that, in my opinion, he should stay. That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's tough because he's like, I want to go into some other things because he's made some comments about like what he wants to do, how he wants to have stake in a team.
Yeah.
And my sentiments are like, dude, you haven't even made it to the league. You haven't even done anything at that level.
Never mind the league. Never mind the league though. Like you obviously
that part from a college, from the NCAA.
Right.
Yeah.
Like obviously a Heisman is obviously one of the top 7 most coveted trophies, right? Or awards that you can get in all sports. But like what good does that do if like what I don't even know how I want to say this. Like what is there to show for it? Like obviously, right?
Stacking it up.
Right. He totally deserved that Heisman last year. This year, I don't think he's winning it. I'm just going to say I have Michael Penix Jr. as one of my favorites to win the Heisman. Maybe Bo Nix, but I'm going for Michael Penix personally. But I just, like you said, and Caleb Williams has some interesting requests if he does declare. And so I just think that I'm actually kind of agreeing with you. I think that maybe he does stay another year and he develops. Well, he's already kind of, I don't even know if develops the right word. It's just that it's like I don't know, maybe just go through the trenches a little more, I guess. Right.
And I mean, college is so different now, with like the portal, the NIL, and like SC is in a position where they can recruit. Like Lincoln Riley can get people here. A lot of LA kids, a lot of kids from other places, like they want to be here now.
Right.
So get the talent that you need to stack that defense. Get Alex Grinch the heck up out of there and like figure it out so that your team is playing competitively both sides of the ball. Because like everybody knows, all you gotta do is take out their defensive Swiss cheese, and like you cannot be super one note like that. Like I feel like come out here with a plan next year with Lincoln Riley, get something done.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be just like you're floating to the number 1 pick. You're floating to like there's gonna be maturity behind that. There's gonna be growth. There's gonna be more experience. I don't know. He'll probably declare. We're just talking. This is gonna all come back to bite us. Like there's gonna play a clip and he's gonna be in the league with the number 1 draft pick.
We'll see. Apparently, like he also wants to pick where he goes. I mean, I don't blame him, right? Who wants to go to Chicago, whatever situation they got going on over there?
The way that it works. And like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the NIL has just changed these kids' idea of how this happens. Like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like the chips fall where they may. You know what I mean? Like you don't get to say. I mean, Eli Manning did it, right? But seriously, that's so atypical. And I think that paying these kids a lot of money has dictated a lot of, just what they have to say about everything.
Right. And these kids were making billions of dollars for the NCAA. Give them a piece of that. Sure.
Oh, yeah. No, well, the NCAA was making billions of dollars off these kids. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. They deserve their cut. right? They're generating millions of viewers, thousands and hundreds and millions and billions of dollars of revenue for the NCAA.
It's a
But
crazy market.
they're now, of course, and it gets sticky, right? Like NILs and everything. These kids essentially, it's like it's a double-edged sword, just like it is to everything, right? These kids can stay in college, help develop their game a little bit more, so that way when they go to the NFL, they are a little bit more prepared. But then at the same point, it's like I'm making money here in college.
Yeah,
I could say
a
another
lot of money.
I could say another year. So if the team with the first pick isn't the ideal market for me, then guess what? I'm gonna say. So it's definitely a gray
It
area.
gives a little spoiled. It gives a
It
little
does give a little
spoiled. You know
spoiled,
what I mean?
yeah, totally,
And
totally.
there's just I feel a certain way so about it. I Steve Smith said it best. Like they need to reconfigure that market. I think
Yes,
that it is
yes,
astronomically insane.
yes.
Truthfully speaking, like you are teaching these kids that these numbers are like normalcy, and it's not. And it's like one in how many actually even make it, let alone make that kind of money. And then you have people on the team that are not on scholarship, that are working jobs to pay their tuition, and then you got a guy next to him that's making like 10 mil. And like you can say, well, they need to get better, they need to play better. Well, this is college and this is a team, and everybody on the team matters at some point. And like you're getting a college education. That's a whole nother day. Like we can have a whole episode on that, but we will move along and
This is
we'll
a good
start talking
segue
about the
for the NFL.
NFL.
Yep, this is
Yeah.
a good segue. Okay, so we're going into week 9.
Week 9, a lot of things, I don't know, a lot of things that we thought kind of haven't panned out. Like, for instance, like a lot of the dominant forces, like the Niners have won or have lost 3 weeks in a row. They're on a bye this week. Um, the Raiders, let's talk about the Raiders because we kind of didn't know what they were going to be this season with Jimmy G playing quarterback. But most shocking news, which isn't really shocking to me, I don't know if it was shocking to you. Josh McDaniels is no longer at the helm of that team. He's no longer the coach. They fired him. Supposedly when he was out trick or treating with his kids. They let go of the GM and the OC. And like I tweeted that game, that Raiders game, blow it up, guys. And like I was speaking in a sense of like the organization and some of the players, like why not? Why not start over and get like a Caleb Williams to sell you some jerseys and to sell out Dre's in the club, you know, but
Who said
whatever.
sell out
Blow it
Grace?
up. Hey, he can have people at the club, whatever. But they needed to blow it up. And this is such a great start. It's hard to do. Like that is a tough decision to just say, we're gonna let go of the coach. We're gonna just totally, divert from whatever the plan was because he still have 4 years on his contract.
Yep, I was just about to say that. They still have to pay him for 4 more years. He just signed that last January. So,
But let's be honest, like that team had absolutely no sense of direction. Like you have a Davante Adams. We have in our notes, poor Davante. Like seriously, poor Davante Adams. He's just withering away. He is being wasted in his prime because they're definitely not going to be chasing down any type of spot in the playoffs with the AFC being so competitive, with so many teams being at like 3-4 or
yeah.
three, you know what I mean? Like there's just no way that I can see them squeezing in. So like they're, in my mind, they're looking at next year. And that's like unfair. That's unfortunate for him when he can be competing right now. And Max Crosby on the other side of the ball, like my sentiments were blow it up. I thought that they could just send Davante to the Chiefs, send Max Crosby to the Rams, but do something and then build something fresh next year with some vital pieces, a lot of first round picks, whatever you can get. But they chose to blow it up in a different way. Which, what do you think about that decision?
I actually did not expect that.
Really?
I talked to a few friends that are Raider fans. They also did not expect it. Like I think it was when they played the Chargers. Mark Davis was getting harassed by a fan about the state of the team, right? And of course, there's contractual obligations that were keeping Josh McDaniels there, right? So I get that. But what's insane to me is that they're more willing and totally at this point you have no choice. What's worse than what you already have? They're more willing to pay Josh McDaniels out until the end of his contract than to have whatever the hell he was cooking up in here or lack thereof. Like it was that bad, right?
Yeah,
And
that speaks volumes.
exactly. And like
Yeah.
it's and like it sucks to see we both obviously watched that Monday night game. It sucks to see like Davante Adams on the side, like on the sideline, slamming his helmet. Just you can see the frustration there. Like at least when he was in Green Bay, like it wasn't like it wasn't for a lack of talent, right? I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers throwing you the ball, but it had ran its course, okay? And he just wanted a new place. He chose Vegas. A lot of people, I will say, hold on, don't say poor Davante because he chose that. And that's true.
He did.
It was his
He
lifelong
did.
dream to be a Raider. And that's admirable. It's respectable. But respect and admiration doesn't win you games, right? But I think that this is, yes, a step in the right direction. They obviously are benching Jimmy. They're putting Aiden O'Connell in there.
Good for them.
Good for them. Antonio Pierce is their interim. The name of the GM is their interim GM is skipping my mind right now, but yeah, I mean we'll see how it goes. I think that Josh McDaniels has ran his course as a head coach. Go back to calling offenses.
Go back to Bill. Go back to the Patriots and just
go back to Bill.
Yeah.
I was watching Pat McAfee. I always say this, but sorry guys, I'm just I was watching Pat McAfee this morning. They showed Belichick's coaching tree record. It's pretty bad.
I mean,
but
I know it.
It's pretty bad.
Matt Patricia alone is like a disgrace,
but there's a valid point there. These guys, they leave his system and then they try to run it as if they're still like part of Belichick's system. And it's like, but at the end of the day, he was the one executing this, not you. So you can't run these teams as if you're still with Bill, right? Because at the end of the day,
you don't have the same personnel.
You don't have the same personnel. You're not Bill Belichick, first of all. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was interesting to see that, you know, like a lot of these guys that are coming from Bill Belichick's tree, like it's abysmal. Like it's just bad. But back to the Raiders. God be with them. Peace be with them. I'm not mad at that Caleb Williams suggestion, but hey,
why not?
Davante's got like what? Maybe 2 more seasons. Good, solid 3 seasons.
So get him a quarterback.
Yeah, don't waste that. And Max Crosby again. God, dude, my God, that man just flies everywhere.
Oh yeah,
110% every single snap. Like
superhuman. Yeah.
Get on the phone, Les. Like, come on, man. Get him over here.
Les ain't doing nothing. We know that. Like, we're not even gonna talk. We're not even talking about the Rams. Like, for what? But I think that the Raiders are in the perfect position to try to go after Caleb Williams if he does in fact declare. Like I think he's perfect for that market. The rebrand of that market with him being in Vegas. I think that he's perfect for like people wanting to come and see him put on a show against their team because people go to a lot of Vegas games for the other team, you know, kind of like the Ram situation. And yeah, like I think he'll sell a lot of jerseys.
Yeah. But we'll see how that goes. They're obviously in a tough division, tough conference. So, but definitely a step in the right direction finally. I think their fans are somewhat relieved just seeing like, hey, couldn't have been worse than what we were doing. So we'll see where it goes.
Hello.
You know? And then coming into week 9, we are back overseas in Germany. This time, obviously, last time it was in London. So, by the way, this is like the first season where we have so many international games. I believe it's 5. So this week it is the Chiefs and the Dolphins, which box office.
I love it. Will you be up at 6 a.m?
Not fully coherent, but I will be there. I wake up early during the week, so I'm like, damn. But I'll be up. That's gonna be interesting.
Must see TV.
That's gonna be interesting.
Who's the favorite in that game? Let me see. Oh, so Kansas City's the favorite, -1.5. Who are you taking?
I'm actually gonna go with the Dolphins.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the Dolphins. Something's going on with that Kansas City offense. It's not when they played Denver and Pat was, I don't know, had the flu, whatever. Like, obviously you can't, I'm not gonna hold that against them. Unfortunately, you just can't. You have to be logical. Like, Patrick was running into his own lineman. Like, what the hell? So
it was definitely something we hadn't necessarily seen before, but we've seen those picks before in you know, some games earlier this season. So I get what you're saying though about Chiefs aren't the same Chiefs that we're used to seeing out there.
Yeah, you know, and, right. And I actually I watched New Heights Pod with Travis and Jason Kelsey. He actually spoke about that game. He actually spoke about their offense too. He said, like, hey, I know, like, we know, you know, like, something is off. People are saying it's Bieniemy. People are saying it's a lack of weapons. They brought McCole back. McCole had a really bad error against the
Broncos. I was like, they're gonna send him right back.
They're like, bye.
Yeah, I mean, could it be Nagy? Like, Matt Nagy came from, did he have a job last year before he left Chicago? Was he just kind of sitting at home? I don't know, but
no, yeah,
he's cooking up that offense now, and it is not anything spectacular. But they say that before Big Red called the offense, like when EB was there, he wasn't calling the plays. Like, it was always Andy Reid. So I don't know, but I agree with you. I think that I would take the Dolphins in this game too. There's a lot of chatter that they don't play good teams well. They can't beat good teams, right? All right, so neutral playing field. Dolphins fans travel, okay? So I'm expecting to see a lot of fans in Germany. Chiefs fans too, probably. Yeah. You know, these are Super Bowl champs. But I think that the Dolphins are even more scrappy now. You got Davion and Jalen playing in the secondary. Like, both sides of the ball are going to be locked up. Like, when we were we were eating dinner and we were watching the Eagles Dolphins game. I don't know if you remember me saying Dolphins are just missing a little bit, like a couple of pieces, like, to lock things down. And then I'm like, oh yeah, duh, like Jalen Ramsey isn't there. Xavier Howard isn't playing. So I think that the secondary being locked up is going to be crucial for them. It's going to be the difference maker. We saw Jalen had a pick last week, but they're going to be able to send extra pressure. You know what I mean? Like, then it's a game changer. So I say that to say that I'm going to take the +1.5. I think that the Dolphins will actually win this game because, again, the Chiefs aren't the same. Their defense is playing a lot better than like a normal Chiefs defense has been in the past, but something ain't right with that offense. So
yeah.
And they'll probably have jet lag. But I did say to somebody, it's really funny, last week when they lost the Broncos game and Taylor Swift wasn't there, I said that was the NFL forcing it to try to say, oh, well, she's the lucky charm. We need to have her at all the games. So don't be surprised if she's in Germany.
Oh my God. How hilarious would that be if she's in Germany? I would be like, give me a break.
I mean, she got to support her man. You're not traveling to see your man?
Not to Germany. Shoot.
Oh, I'm going.
I mean, you don't have the money, yeah. And plus, that woman, apparently, she loves to fly a private jet to, like, anywhere. So, we'll know. Who knows? Maybe. Okay. Maybe.
Well, so we can talk about another game if we have time.
Yeah, I actually want to go to the NFC now. Cowboys are in Philadelphia this week.
Mm.
That's going to be super interesting.
Yeah.
Cowboys, obviously the Commanders, like always, they gave Philly a hard time. They always do. They're rivals. We already know how rival games are, so I'm not putting too much into that. So Dallas is, I guess you could say, picking up steam. I don't know. They're beating on the teams that they're supposed to beat, right? I picked them to beat us last week for two different reasons. But I think this is going to be Dallas's first real test, aside from obviously the Niners. And we saw how that game ended. They're playing in a tough environment, right? At the Lincoln. So, yeah, I think that game's gonna be great. I do have Philly winning. I just don't think that, obviously last season when they first met, we have to say that Jalen didn't play. So, but this season, Dak's gonna play, Jalen's gonna play. So, well, everybody's gonna give their best, you know. But I do have. Do you know the spread on that?
I don't. I think when I took a peek, it was 3. I'm making that up though. I could have been looking at another game. I'll find it though.
Okay.
But do you for sure taking Philly to win outright? Yes. Either way.
Okay. Yeah. I'm assuming they're gonna do this.
So Philly is -3, so they're the home favorite.
Home favorites, yeah. So I think it'll be a little bit more than that. Obviously, Dallas's defense is still down. You know, their best corner, but of course they got Micah. So I think it's gonna be somewhat of a dogfight. I think it's gonna be somewhat of a dogfight. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. It's gonna be somewhat of a dogfight, but I think that Philly wins ultimately.
Okay.
I am excited about that though. So we got some good matchups this week. Even, you know,
there's some good games. In regards to that game, I think that Philly's gonna win. I think that Dallas is just still so, like, their defense is the high, right? And then like I feel like I still haven't seen enough from their offense.
No.
To even know what they are. Like we can say, oh yeah, Dak threw for 4 touchdowns against the Rams. Yeah, that happened. But can I say that the Rams as a defensive unit were just so stacked and we were playing our absolute best to where we can lock them down? No. But they got blown out by the Niners. They got beat by the Cardinals. So there's just, I think that just kind of goes back to all the parity that's in football and like any given Sunday, any team's week type of situation. But again, like Tony Pollard, I can't tell you the last time that he scored a touchdown.
No. Hello.
Their offense is so strange. Like the whole CD Lamb blowing up thing, that, I mean, they needed that because he wasn't getting the ball. And then he plays us and he's looking like freaking just going off. And I mean, like we said, we're not going to talk about the Rams game. That was a very, very sour spot in our week. But the showing that they put on against us on all sides of the ball, Dak throwing for touchdowns, special teams, defense,
all 3 phases,
clicking on all cylinders. Exactly. That if I've seen that every week, then I'd absolutely would give them the respect. But until then, I can't say that. Now, Philly, I think that they have units on both sides of the ball. They play super, super well in the trenches. They have, you know, AJ Brown is playing like an MVP wide receiver. And I think that their weakness is the secondary. I heard that Howie was on the phone trying to get DBs. I don't know if they've picked one up or not, but they'll figure it out whether they got to send that pass rush or whatever the case is. I think that they are still just a stacked team overall. Like they know who they are. They know what they're trying to accomplish. They were just there. This is at home. This is against the team that they absolutely hate. I don't know. I got Philly.
Yeah. That again, that's gonna be a good game. I think that the conversation we're having about the Cowboys right now is the conversation we have about the Cowboys week in, week out, season in, season out, right? You beat the teams you're supposed to beat. You lose against the good teams. That's what sets you apart, right? You beat the best of the best. Then like they beat Philly last year, right? But again, no Jalen. So it's like, let's see. Everybody's there today. Obviously, they don't have their corner, Stephon Diggs' brother. I forgot his name.
Trevon Diggs. Yeah.
You don't have Trevon Diggs, but they have another DB that had a good game against us too. Darren Bland, I believe.
You're talking about Bland. I was going to say he got in touch with the B.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's gonna be an interesting one. And then Sunday night game.
What game is that?
It's the Bengals and the Bills.
Oh yeah. I was gonna mention that to you like before we started. Like we're gonna get that game Sunday night. We'll see. We'll table that one. And let's just say that I'm hoping for a good game. We'll see what Josh Allen does. We'll see we saw what type of Joe Burrow showed up. He was an alien this past weekend. He played like out of this world, beat the Niners. Thank you, by the way. But then the Bengals tried to play the NFC West. Like, oh God, here we go. But yeah, Bengals, Bills, stay tuned. I'm excited for that game. I'll give you my best bet, and then you can talk about some fantasy stuff in your fantasy world. And yeah, we will call it a night.
Yep.
My best bet is pretty simple this week. The Raiders. Okay. So the Raiders are going to be at home against the Giants. This is a decimated Giants team. Like, let's start there, right? Like, who's playing? Tyrod got hurt. Last week, they brought in Tommy DeVito, and they threw for 7 yards passing. 7 yards passing. They had to rush. It was like the wing T. That was the offense because they did not have the ability to throw the ball. Darren Waller's dealing with the hamstring thing. Like, the offensive line is completely severed, like picked apart. And now you have a Raiders team. You're going to get Aiden O'Connell under center, which I think that they look a lot better with him playing. I think that he has the confidence to go in and do what he needs to do, even before this debacle, right? Even before Josh got the axe, even before the GM got kicked out, even before the OC got booted off. Like, now is the absolute time for them to play like, we're going to show you what the dead weight was. We're going to show you what the problem was. And it wasn't us, because we can get out there and we can play some ball and we can kick some butt, period. So expect to see Max Crosby go off. Expect to see Aiden O'Connell ensure that ball gets into Davante Adams' hands. Like, there was no reason as to why he should have one catch, 11 yards. Like, that was
those like those two supposed touchdowns. Like, if I were a Davante Adams fantasy owner, I would have called the Raiders organization myself that night, because
imagine having him on a prop like I did and needed the yards. Like, that was just abysmal.
So so the Raiders are your pick, right?
-2.
Okay.
Bet your mortgage on it.
Okay.
Bet your rent, your car note, everything. So you can double it.
Let's go. Okay. I'm gonna say a few things really quick about my fantasy world before we go off. I sat DeAndre Hopkins last week. I still won. Girl, I know.
I dropped him the week before, but go ahead.
I still won because, by the grace of God, my opponent had Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes didn't even give him 7 full fantasy points. This is a PPR league. So I won because, again, that guy had Patrick. I had Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert scored damn near 4 times as much as Patrick did. I had Josh Jacobs. He had a solid game, not even good. So I ended up winning. Lastly, I was able to pick up Will Levis on one of my teams. I'm gonna see. I might spice things up a little bit and see what he does for this team. I'm currently 6-2.
They play tomorrow.
Huh?
They play tomorrow, so
Yeah.
if you want to set your roster.
Yeah. I'm currently 6-2 in the league. Very proud of that. First place. Still winless in another league, but we're not even going to talk about that. That's not even here nor there.
Winless?
Winless.
Not a win?
Not a single one. Not a single win.
Can you tell me who your quarterback is in that league?
Justin Herbert.
Oh, Lord.
But the week that I was projected to win, I lost Nick Chubb, and it was downhill from there. It was just downhill from there.
And running backs are slim picking, so.
And running backs, obviously, everybody's thin at the running back position right now. So I gave up on that. It's my only league that I don't have money in, so I'm just like, it is what it is. I'm going to keep my eye out for Will Levis. I picked him up. I'm not sure if I'm going to start him yet. And that's kind of the guy that I'm going to monitor. I'm going to keep DeAndre in my lineup. I'm not going to bench him. Okay. And we'll see if next week I'm still in first place.
You got this.
You said that. So for fantasy, you have who's your quarterback?
Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff. Just crazy enough. So Goff's on a bye. Matthew might not be playing, so I have to go pick up another quarterback. The only one that was pretty much available in my league that looked promising was Derek Carr. They played the Bears. You kind of gave me a little bit of hope. So if I gotta play Derek Carr, I swear you better go off.
Just like
seriously,
put him in your starting lineup, and then when you're cooking something with grease, you just kind of look away. Just do that. Like let it be.
You don't get the pop, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. But we gotta love it. So yeah, this is of course another episode of Talkin Sporty.
Until next time,
I'm your girl P. That's
Brittany Bets.
All right, good night.
Yeah. Let me take you on a day. We ain't got to